This video is going to share why the sensitive souls out there, the empaths, highly sensitive folks, light workers even, are going to have the best year ever in 2026. I know some of you are already thinking, no, Vic, it's been very difficult, actually. It's been quite heavy. I feel like I'm tapped into everybody, and the chaos of the collective is affecting me. It's keeping me up at night. It's getting my nervous system burnt out and wired up, worked up into a frenzy. I disagree wholeheartedly with that sentiment. It's going to be a good year. How? Here's the thing, my friend. You were built for this. You were built to navigate these exact energies of transformation. You were built to tune in so deeply to the challenges within your life, within yourself, within people, and the actual frequency of them that you can embody and take on, even to the point where you can get insight and information and healing and breakthroughs, guidance from it. There's a lot going on. You might feel overstimulated. You might feel like you don't even want to be here sometimes. Why am I even here? This is not my place. And yet this is exactly where you're meant to be. This is exactly where you chose to go. And this video is going to reveal exactly how you can roll with these new energies and flip them and turn them and spin them into an incredible positive outcome for you and pretty much everybody around you, honestly. The first reason is alchemy. This is like an ancient practice, transmuting lead into gold and all the metaphorical implications as well. And this is something you do. You can do. Not all empaths do it, honestly, but you can do it. Empaths have a hyper attunement initially to other people's stuff and baggage. And yet, your presence around them helps them lighten up their own load. Also, when you turn your energy and focus inward, you have that same capability with yourself, while having awareness of your unresolved traumas and issues and these pockets of fear and grief and pain. It's extremely uncomfortable for you, very distracting, right? Trying to go about your life and you're just like always preoccupied with like your inner reality, which is so influential, so demanding. And yet, what has happened over the course of your lifetime? You've been able to heal, release, transmute. Not just your own stuff, maybe even other people's stuff. You know, I spent like 3 or 4 years wrestling with grief from my grandfather who lost a son. Somehow, I was the recipient of that unprocessed energy and emotion. And it was extremely hard on me. It was initially misinterpreted as something I had to concern myself with. Like, holy crap, is this something I'm going to have to experience? This feels so real. And then I understood the concept of ancestral trauma. But nonetheless, these feelings were so real, so like in my own body, very difficult to like not try to take responsibility for them. And I tried to heal them. I drank ayahuasca, I did all these different things, breath work, and I did everything I possibly could to like release it. And eventually it did release, like years down the line after much hard work. But nonetheless, you know, one time I had a vision on ayahuasca actually. And it was like of some of my ancestors, grandparents in particular, and they had this look of like, thank you. You're helping us. You're helping other people beyond what you can even imagine, perhaps. I know in your day-to-day experience, you just feel it as anxiety. You feel it as baggage. You feel it as like just uncomfortable energy stuck in your system that kind of comes and goes and varies in intensity. But it's not this random chaotic process as it feels like. There's this alchemical process going on. You're transmuting the collective in your own way, in a very powerful way. And when you understand that, For one, it can create a kind of a healthy detachment, a separation from you, your presence, and what's happening in your system. And also, you can embrace it. You know, sometimes, for example, like I'm a YouTuber, right? And I'm actually a pretty quiet guy who doesn't prefer the limelight, who is shy at times. And here I am, like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people like know who I am. And it's a bizarre thing, honestly. And there are times I think to myself, man, in my next lifetime, I don't want anyone to know who I am. In fact, I have this awesome instructor, this martial arts instructor who I'm so fond of. And he lives such a cool life. He's a super badass dude, really tapped in, really a real deep guy. And he just lives this awesome, contented life as a martial arts teacher. You know, he's not living it up in a mansion. He's not reaching the masses. He's living this kind of quiet life, but he's doing exactly what he wants to do every single day. And I see that, and I think, man, I want that. Next time, next time. But I have to remind myself that I chose this now. It doesn't help me to long for something because I apparently wanted this experience. And I find that when I embrace it, like, okay, I got a big purpose to this time around. I got a lot of people that I got to like really be mindful of doing my best to help. And it has its challenges, also has its virtues and its cool things that come with it. But regardless, fighting it, wishing it were a different way, wishing my soul had chosen a different life, it's not doing me any favors. Embracing it has made all the difference. And as an empath, you are the way you are for a reason. And I'm guessing you chose to be this exact way. You chose your parents, you chose the traumas, you chose what you're going to transmute, all these different things. And I just invite you, you know, to not fight it for so many years like I did. Because once I started to embrace it, I saw the blessings that were there all along. Another reason why you're going to thrive is you're going to naturally gravitate towards a lighter energy, which, when contrasted with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Guidance for you will be super easy, even when you don't have it. Sometimes some of you might be watching thinking, well, I'm not getting any guidance. Good, you don't need it right now. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And when you do got to make a move, it'll be so clear to you. It'll be so obvious, the resonance, the lightness. Ah, this feels expansive. This feels more like me. This feels spacious. You just go there, go in that direction. And it's good because it's a weird time where everything's being kind of shifted around and a lot of old ways of doing things is not working, not functioning, no longer bearing fruit. And in this, it's kind of like a good situation for the pioneer thinkers. You know, many people, they will hold on to the old as long as they possibly can. They'll go down with the ship, or they'll, at the very least, hold on an unnecessary length of time simply out of blind fear and not having this connection to an ability to discern alternative avenues to explore. And they will suffer. You don't have to. You know how to navigate times of change, times of transformation. You just simply go towards lighter energy. And when you don't see it, you know it's coming. You have faith. It's that simple. And you will, whether you want to or not, you will. It's like human nature. But it's because you're so in tune, you'll be able to discern it. And therefore, when you take your steps forward, they're going to be like good steps. You know, pioneer thinkers oftentimes are the ones that make the big bucks, that make a big splash, that become rich. Not that you have to, but there are huge, like you can capitalize on times like this by thinking differently, by navigating life differently to most, but very normal and commonplace to you. And kind of, again, you'll be more likely to access these amazing ideas that are going to be floating around, stirring in the breeze. You know, if you look through history, if you just look at the nature of nature, there is we're in a constant, it's like a never-ending cycle of decay and rebirth, decay and rebirth, decay and rebirth, decay and rebirth. How does that work? How does something decay completely and then yet something new always reemerges? How is that happening? Well, there's this underlying force of nature. There's something going on that we're not seeing or able to perceive with our senses, but it's there. And empathic people can tune into this constant guiding intelligence, and therein lies the ideas, the seeds for new growth, for new innovative ideas, awesome ideas. There's a book called, you might like if you relate with this, it's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's not about writers, but she's a writer. She wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. Real famous writer, but it's about ideas. She's in her belief that the world is full of amazing ideas for books, ideas for businesses, ideas for you, idea of whatever, all these awesome ideas. And they're kind of floating around, like almost like an entity in it of themselves. And they're looking for people to perceive of them. And they might be looming around you right now. But the problem is, if you don't notice it and do something with it, they're going to find another vessel. And the sensitive souls, though the chaos of the world is more painful, arguably, you're less numb to it, you can tune in to these amazing ideas. But a lot of empaths I found, unfortunately, get kind of swallowed up in the energy. And you're getting the good ideas, you're getting the guidance, but you're not doing something with it. Elizabeth Gilbert said it's not just enough to have an idea. In fact, this happened to her one time. She had an idea for a book that was a very specific idea. It was about, like, I think this part of the Amazon jungle where people tried to build this like really like intrusive, ugly, man-made bridge. And what happened was the nature swallowed it up. Literally, the Amazon freaking jungle ate the bridge. It literally consumed it with nature. It was just kind of interesting, kind of cool thing. And she thought, I'm going to write a book about that. She was so fond of it. And then it was just one of those things that, yeah, I'll get around to it. But eventually she kind of forgot about it and saw someone else wrote an exact book about it on her exact idea, almost in the exact way that she envisioned it. And that was kind of what led to this premise that these ideas are kind of floating around in the breeze. And if you don't jump on them, if you don't do them, put them into action, then somebody else will. Hi, welcome back. Sorry, my camera cut out there. What I was saying is, because you're so sensitive and so tapped in, you will be the ones that are the most receptive to these sometimes pioneer-like, game-changing, life-upgrading for not just you, but everybody else type of ideas. These ideas are there. They've always been there. And empaths are going to be the people who perceive of them first. But it's up to us, me too. I've had also inspired ideas that I've allowed to kind of fall away and have done nothing with, whether it's just out of laziness or forgetfulness. A lot of times it's because of fear and doubt. So I'm guilty as well. But I really think that we're living in a time where we got to all step up and do what we can. And a mantra I like to ask myself, even before filming this, it was like, what can I say to make a difference? How can I help? That's the mantra. How can I help? How can you help? How can I help? How can I help the world? How can I help change the things I don't like seeing? How disconnected people are, how traumatized people are, how unaware people are, how nasty people are to one another, the corruption, the chaos. I don't like it any more than you. What can I do? These ideas will start to come to you, come to me, and you'll be surprised at how these ideas can start knocking at your door, and eventually they don't even leave you alone because they want to be birthed into reality. But it's up to you, it's up to me. So I challenge you to take action today on ideas you've already been sitting with. And I will do the same. We can do this together, okay? And before I go, I want to just invite you to my monthly transformation session ceremonies. It's a mouthful. Once a month on Zoom for free, I gather people from my YouTube audience and I help them transform with modalities I've been trained in, like QHHT, somatic release breathwork. Both are amazing for getting in touch with your true self, receiving intuitive guidance, healing and releasing energy and conditioning and trauma from the past. It's completely free. I'm going to leave a link down below. You can just click it if you want to join, and you put in your email address, and I'll send you the Zoom link for the next one and the day and time. And with that said, you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Peace.